Let's spice things up while we're in the midst of the off season. I told you guys to send me some of your hot takes, and a lot of you pulled through. We have a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils. Hopefully, you don't rip your hair out as this episode progresses. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Steven stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play announcer, Devils Wire Pucks Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. I don't know about you, but I think your Saturday morning could use a little more spice. What do I mean by that? Well, a few weeks ago, I tweeted out a picture of Flynn Rider. For any of you who are not Disney fans, let me explain. Flynn Rider is a fictional character from the movie Tangled, and there's a popular image from that film that has cemented itself to meme culture. It's Flynn Rider with his arms folded. He has a smirk on his face, and there are a bunch of swords surrounding him. The image basically associates itself with hot takes. What's a hot take that would leave you in that position? And I realized I don't think anyone has done it for the Devils specifically, so I took the liberty of publishing it on my social media because I was curious to hear from you, my audience members, what's a hot take that would leave you in that sort of position? I said it a few episodes ago, since we're in the heart of the offseason, late August, I'm getting a little tired of talking about Luke Hughes' contract extension dilemma. I want to have some fun on this show in a respectful manner. I will leave the hot takes anonymous, and one by one, I will give you guys my thoughts on your take. Do I think it's a hot take, a lukewarm take, or a cold take? Hot take, basically, I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with you. Lukewarm, somewhere in the middle. It really depends on what side of the fan base you're on. Or is it a cold take? Once again, this is meant to be done in a respectful manner. These are not my personal hot takes. But without further ado, let's go over some of these hot takes. The first hot take says, gotta go with black helmets with white sweaters again. I'm lukewarm about it. I don't really care either way. I remember the Devils brought out that uniform combo a few seasons ago, 2023, 2024. I think they wore it against the Detroit Red Wings, but they got shut out for the first time in like over a year, if my memory serves me well. So they decided to discontinue it because we all know how superstitious hockey players can be. I thought it was a pretty good look. I don't really mind either way. So I'm lukewarm when it comes to that hot take. The next hot take. This team will not win a cup with Fitz as general manager. I think in the eyes of the Devils discourse, that is a cold take. But for me personally, lukewarm. I think it really depends on what the Devils do on the ice. Because here's the thing. Fitzgerald can't control what happens on the ice. And there have been a few major issues when it comes to the Devils. The big one is injury. Jack Hughes has been sidelined due to injury. He's had his season cut short in back-to-back seasons. He is your star player, and he cannot continue to do this. I think similar to what Mike Morial said, I still believe in Tom Fitzgerald, but at the end of the day, you just got to go out there and produce it on the ice. No more excuses. Ryan Novozinski touched on it in a recent article, which is the Devils do have the pieces to potentially compete for a Stanley Cup. And I talked about it on my show. They got to show it to me. I'm not going to go out here and say, yes, they could potentially compete for a Stanley Cup. playoff team, sure, but Stanley Cup, I mean, the playoffs are a different animal. I think we can all attest to that. Some people think that the Devils are too soft. I would have to wait and see the product on the ice. A few years ago, the Devils won 52 games, and I thought they were going to take off like a rocket ship, and their championship window was expanding. Unfortunately, the very next season, it was a complete nightmare. I think these next few years, especially before Nico Hischier becomes a UFA, they're going to be pinnacle for New Jersey. So I think lukewarm on my end, but cold take among the Devils discourse, if that makes sense. All right, this next hot take comes from, I guess, a Frank the Tank impersonator, like a parody account. This team sucks and will not make the playoffs. All soft. That is a spicy hot take. The Devils, barring anything catastrophic happening, will make the playoffs. The Metro's not that strong. Now, how far they go in the playoffs, that's a different debate. So that's a hot take. NJ Devil is a terrible name for a mascot. It should be Lou for both Lucifer and Lou Lamoriello, the GM that got the team 3 cups. Lukewarm. I don't really care about the mascot all that much, if I'll be completely honest. I've never interacted with NJ Devil because I'm always up in the press box. But if you're a casual fan or a diehard fan, what are your thoughts on the mascot NJ Devil? I really don't care either way, but to each their own. Here's one I really agree with. The Rangers suck chant when they're not playing them shows our inferiority complex and is embarrassing. Yes, 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 I agree. Every time I'm at the Rock and I hear people say Rangers suck, Flyers, I don't think I'm allowed to say it on this platform, but you know the rest. Flyers, blank, Islanders, blank. I don't want to talk about it on this show, but I agree that chant sucks. No pun intended. I think fans should really stop it, especially since the Devils are not playing those teams. Like if the Devils are playing the LA Kings, a team out west that's not even in the same division or conference, and the Devils score a goal and you say Rangers suck, Flyers blank, and Islanders watch, what are we doing? So I don't know if anyone agrees with me, but I agree with that person wholeheartedly. Okay, we got some more hot takes to share, but before we continue, let me tell you guys about Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to the ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and at a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying tickets. Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On NHL and also Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for exciting up-and-coming MLB games. Look, I'm sure a lot of you want to either see the Yankees, Mets, or Phillies, whichever team you root for. They're all in a playoff push right now. Tired of the endless scrolling trying to find the best deal? Gametime Zone Deals pick the best seat in your section for you. Seat views right in the app before you buy so you know exactly where you'll be. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Okay, let's get back to some more hot takes, shall we? A lot of why the Devils are where they are is because Timo Meier has been a massive disappointment since he signed here. Ooh. I think among the Devils fan base, that is a lukewarm take. It really depends on what side of the fence you're on. You either love Timo Meier or you hate him. Personally, I love Timo, and I talked about it with Ace over at Running with the Devils. We both agree. I don't think Timo Meier has been given a fair chance. What do we mean by that? Well, he's playing on his off wing. He's never utilized on the top power play unit when the team is fully healthy. Anytime the Devils are dealing with a major injury, whose game elevates the most? I would say it's Timo Meier. We see it in the month of March, and Timo Meier is a big power forward. People of his caliber don't just grow on trees. If the Devils didn't offer Timo Meier that 8 years, $70.4 million contract a few off seasons ago, I can promise you there would have been another team that would have offered him a little bit more because, like I said, big power forward. He scored 40 goals a few seasons ago. Yes, his offensive numbers are going to dip a little, but you gotta know what you're working with. And when he was with the Sharks, they were rebuilding. He was the go-to guy. He was their main scorer for the last few seasons while he was in a Sharks uniform. But here in New Jersey, a perennial playoff team, you got Jack Hughes, you got Jesper Bratt, you got Nico Hischier. It should be no surprise to see his offensive numbers dip a little bit, but as long as he's doing other things to help the Devils win, then I think people should be a little more grateful. That's my personal opinion. And I think Daniel Amoya of the Hockey Writers touched on it in one of his articles. The Devils' offensive chances actually increase when Timo is out there. So he's not just being a traffic cone. So Timo Meier being a big disappointment, I would have to disagree. Now, if you're not satisfied with his production, that's one thing, but I don't think he's been a disappointment. I think he's been as advertised, which is a power forward who's capable of scoring and could definitely be a threat on the wing. I wish he was playing his correct wing position and utilized more on the top power play. Once again, Ace over at Running with the Devils agrees with me, and we talked about it in one of our recent collaborations. Check that out if you haven't done so already. All right. Dougie Hamilton is the third most important Devil to the team's success, behind only Nico and Jack. Since January 1st, 2022, the team is quote-unquote Columbus when he doesn't play and a 100-point team when he does. Okay, I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration. I don't think the Devils are as bad, but to go off on that, yes, I do agree. Dougie's a very important player on the roster, and a lot of people are hoping that he gets traded, and I guess people aren't really satisfied with his production. He has dealt with injury, and going back to what I said in the first segment, the Devils definitely have problems when it comes to injuries, but I don't think Dougie is as bad as people are projecting, similar to Timo Meier, because look at Kovacevic. He led Devils defensemen in turnovers, but yet people have only said good things about Kovacevic. Yeah, Sheldon Keefe called him out in that one particular game against the Senators, I believe, off the top of my head. But other than that, like, people give Kovacevic his flowers, and rightfully so. I said he was an underrated blue liner on the Devils, but let's call a spade a spade. Kovacevic turns the puck over, and no one seems to have a problem with that. Same with Luke Hughes, same with Jack Hughes. But yet, when Dougie does it, it seems like a war is going to break out, and people are just like upset about it, and they just say like, oh, he's this, he's that. It's more magnified. I said it all summer long. The Devils are not a better team without Dougie, and he plays a big part on the blue line. Keep in mind, Kovacevic, using him as an example again, he's not going to be here to start the new NHL season. He's going to miss some time. So if you trade away Dougie Hamilton just to clear up some cap, you got not only one, but two big holes to fill. And remember a few seasons ago when the Devils put all their trust in a young Luke Hughes and a young Shimon Nemitz to try to help bolster the Devils' blue line? How did that turn out for the Devils? I know they were replacing some injured players, but just saying, that didn't work out too well. So I think it's a bit of an exaggeration. I don't think the Devils are, quote unquote, Columbus when Dougie's not in the lineup, but he is important, and I think people need to give him more respect. Trading Jack and Luke together right now before either has trade protection for a heavy right-handed number 2 center and a top pair left-handed defenseman makes a lot of sense if we really want to be dangerous in the playoffs. No, you don't trade either one of them. That's a really, really spicy hot take. You don't trade the Hughes brothers just to what? Who you want to get? Tage Thompson? I don't really get the logic here. Jack Hughes produces a lot of points. Luke Hughes is on the come up, and he might become better than Quinn. You never know. I'm not on board with trading Jack or Luke. Now, if Jack continues to get injured, maybe you have to have an uncomfortable conversation, but I don't see that happening. I really don't. Fitzgerald has done a good job building the team. See, here's the thing. A few years ago, after the Devils won 52 games in the regular season, made it to the second round of the playoffs, got Tyler Toffoli in the offseason, people, including myself, were saying, Tom Fitzgerald, general manager of the year. And obviously the Devils have taken a few steps backwards. I'd say injuries kind of derailed them a little bit. People wanted the Devils to swing for the fences, but let's face it, the market wasn't really all that good. Just like any market, sometimes it could be good, sometimes it could be bad. And this past offseason, it's not really all that profitable, if for lack of a better term. The Panthers retained all of their pending UFAs, and basically Mitch Marner goes to Vegas, and that pretty much does it for free agency. Trade market was a little thickeny. Geez. This is a tough one. I'll say lukewarm. I might have to duck after I say this because I think a lot of people want to throw things at me right now. I don't think Fitzy is the worst general manager in the world. Now, I do wish he's a little more proactive, and I don't like it when he says, like, we just came in second and just settle with that. No. And I see a few other people saying, like, I like what the job that Fitz is doing, and I don't know. I mean, let's just see how this season goes, and maybe my opinion will change at the end of it, but I just need to see the Devils fully healthy, and if they can win 5 games in a row. That's all I'm saying. Just at one point, win 5 games in a row. Maybe my opinion will change. The current roster structure is actually good enough until the trade deadline. They have holes, but they can be filled either then or with a little luck in development internally. I agree with that. I think that's a cold take. Yes, the Devils still have work to do. Don't get me wrong. Ondrej Palat, he should definitely be shipped out of here. But for what the Devils have for right now, I think they're still going to be a playoff team. Come the trade deadline, I am curious to see what they do. If they are still in a position to compete, I need to see Fitzy get aggressive in the market to try to pursue someone. Yes, this market in the offseason, not all that good. I just mentioned it. But what can you do a few months from now? Will the Devils be first, second, or third in the Metro? Only time will tell. I would agree with that. Once the season progresses, then you can start to see the holes that the Devils need to fill. We saw it last season. The bottom 6 depth, it was drying up. Stefan Nason, Eric Haula, Paul Cotter being point-per-game players to start the season. You knew that wasn't going to last, but I don't think anyone predicted for like Cotter or Haula to go that ice cold. The Devils needed depth, and unfortunately, Fitzy wasn't able to provide. I talked about maybe getting Kyle Palmieri or Ryan Donato, somebody to help out, and it didn't materialize. I knew they weren't going to get Mikko Rantanen. No way the Hurricanes were going to help out the Devils, but yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, before we close out today's episode full of hot takes, and hopefully you're still with me and not ripping your hair out, let me tell you guys about FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So take a flyer on an underrated player to win the MVP. Crown your champion in August. New York Giants? Question mark? I wouldn't do it, but hey, to each their own. Or parlay your division winner dark horse. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Okay, a few more hot takes, and I'm definitely going to do this again in the future. This has been a lot of fun. All right. Trade Nico Hischier. No. Now, if Nico's in the final year of his deal and the Devils are not a playoff team and Nico specifically says he doesn't want to re-sign with New Jersey, then you trade him. You don't just trade him just to trade him. Plus, he has trade protection. Connor Brown will lead the Devils in assists next season. Not going to happen unless everyone else gets injured, God forbid. Dawson Mercer isn't the problem. His development is. For a team that struggles with health and a fan base tired of it, he hasn't missed a game and plays in all situations. His career numbers next to Jack and Nico call for him to play top 6 minutes, not third line. I definitely do agree with that. I think we saw it during the 2022-2023 season when he was paired alongside Nico for a good chunk of the year and he had a career year. I definitely do agree with you. I don't think Dawson has been given a fair shake of things the last couple of years. His line mates haven't been all that good, but the reality of it is you kind of need Mercer in the bottom 6 to provide some more depth scoring, because as bad as the depth scoring was last year, the one player that definitely gave the Devils some hope on the bottom 6 was Merstog. So yeah, I definitely agree with you, but given the current roster structure, Dawson's going to have to play third line center. Jack Hughes is not the best player on the team. Well, he does get hurt a lot, but he still is. Let's face it. Now, I will say this. Who can become the first Devils player to reach 100 points in a single season? I wouldn't count out Jesper Bratt because he's available more times than not. Similar to Mercer, he had an Ironman streak going, but obviously it ended towards the end of the season due to rest purposes. All right, a couple more. Let's talk about Palat. Ondrej Palat isn't as bad as people think, and it's embarrassing the way the fans treat him. Look, I try to be fair. I really do. I think Palat, for what his numbers show, they are decent. They're decent, productive numbers, and I think you got what you expected out of Palat. The problem is he's not living up to his paycheck, which is $6 million and average annual value. I think everyone can agree with that. So I think that is a hot take. But my thing for Palat, I wouldn't be pushing for him to be traded. I wouldn't be pushing for the Devils to end his contract in any which sort of way. If he was being paid annually $3 million, then yeah, my opinion would change a little bit. But it's just he hasn't lived up to his paycheck. And I get that he elevates his game during the playoffs, but you can't just keep living off that. That's just my thing. All right. One more hot take, and like I said, I will definitely do this in the future. Jonathan Kovacevic should never have been signed long-term, especially not with a no-movement clause. Okay, Kovacevic was signed long-term by the Devils. I'd say he had a very productive year. But here's the thing. Kovacevic's contract is better than some other contracts I've been seeing. Like, look at Kevin Ball. Look at his contract with the Flames. Kovacevic signed a 5-year, $20 million contract, which gives him a cap hit of $4 million. Now, if we compare that to Kevin Ball was given a 6-year, $32.1 million contract. Honestly, I'll take Kovacevic's contract and the production he puts up versus Kevin Ball's contract. And that's just one example. So in a market where solid defensemen are tough to come by, I think Kovacevic's contract is good. It's similar to Jonas Siegenthaler. This was fun. Let me know your thoughts on some of these hot takes that I've been reviewing. I know I was all over the place, but just reacting to them on the fly, not really many notes. Just wanted to do something a little bit different. let me know some of your hot takes. Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. Leave your thoughts, concerns, maybe questions, and maybe I'll address it on the next episode of Locked On Devils. But as for today's episode, that's all the time I have for you. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day in New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys next episode. Thanks for listening once again.